Hello and welcome back to Alex Goes Sailing. In this episode we're going to get started on the electronics. So definitely some work to do, especially underneath here. Look at this spaghetti junction. So that's going to be a lot of work, and hopefully we can get it done pretty quick because there's a lot of it. And well, if I jiggle this in the right way, yeah, problems. So the plan is to neaten up all the wiring, get everything working properly, add some bits that I want, and yeah, we're going to remove those switch panels because they're terrible. We're going to replace them with basically another one of these switch panels. This was sent over by Vision Marine, and they're kindly supporting me in my adventures. So go check them out. I'll leave a link in the description. They just made a new website, and they basically got everything. You can ask them if they haven't got it on the website, and chances are they're going to find it. So definitely recommend them. So yeah, let's get started on this project and see how much of a mess it really is. And luckily, I've got a label maker to help out. Now, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the electrical system on this boat. Let's start the switch panels. We've got this one, which is original. These ones, which aren't, on here, when it doesn't flick the lights, we've got electronics, which currently just turn on that and some of the TRIMARAN stuff up there, which is nice. We've got the running lights. Don't think they work at all. I haven't seen them working. The compass light does work, but the little switch is broken, so we've got a replacement because it's like a little breaker box. You can replace these. Bit of a pain that it kind of works. It's just the switch is broken, so I might find a way to fix it for a spare or something with a 3D printer. And then on this side we've got the main cabin lights, which is on but flickering. The anchor light, no idea if that's work, I haven't seen it. And then spare, that's also got a broken switch, but I don't know what the spare does. And then on this side we've got nav techs, which I think was for the tiller pilot. Tiller pilot's inside over there. The TRIMARAN one, I think that's an ST1000 that came there with the boat, but we're going to switch it with the one that's on Maracay, the ST2000 that TRIMARAN sent over, because yeah, it's a bit faster. So here's steam, so steaming light. There is one of those on the mast. I don't know if it works or not. Oh, that's the autopilot. So that's the autopilot. Don't know what the nav text is then, because none of that is. And then these switches are for the bilge pumps in the armors. Now, that's something I don't like at the minute. Well, I like that it has bilge pumps, but I don't like how the wires are run to them. On this side of the boat, it's easier to show you here. Got one of these wires running out through a backward fitted through hull, which then goes out via a hose and round underneath the armor, and then in the side. So you got two holes like a foot or less above the waterline. And then the other problem is that with this fitted, if we go outside, we're now outside the window, and if I open up, that's heavy, use my head, ow. So you can see the through hole sticking out there. That's not good, because you can see this hull, that's meant to go pretty much almost touching, and that's going to prevent it. Now I could shorten it and make it tighter, but I also don't like the fact that this hose just wriggles round and then goes. If you go underneath here, hopefully you can still see. Well, down there, just above the waterline, which you can see back here, pretty much about 6 inches up, there's a through hole, and then another through hole next to it. One lets the water out, one lets this hose in. On the back of the boat, we have these, well, this one's not even used at the minute, but they are chase throughs for the wires to come out. We could quite easily have a wire come out of there that I can just plug in, might be an option. We also have the outboard on the back that has power wires running off it that runs the battery, so we've got to consider that, and the fact that it's got a charger on it, so it can actually charge the boat. On the back here, I will be mounting solar panels at some point. I just got to figure out how and what panels. In the cockpit, we're going to have nice new TRIMARAN gear that they are helping me out with. and that's going to kind of go in there. That compass lights up, and then inside we got a radio that we're going to be replacing with some nice Raymarine gear. In the kitchen, nothing electrical apart from a light, and that goes all the way around the boat. There's a light there, here, doesn't work, the bulb's blown, and then one in the toilet area right up the front, and that does work. All of those are on the same circuit, so that's nice and easy, and it works. So hopefully we can just label simple things like that and use the wiring. Forward from this, nothing else electrical, apart from the electric toilet that we're going to be fitting, because we're going to get rid of the manual one and do an electric conversion. The main reason for that is ease of use when you have loads of different people on the boat that aren't typically used to boats. Also, I've got height considerations, so some of the manual toilets are a bit harder to fit. The one that I have is quite an old toilet as well, or quite an old manual thing, so it's quite hard to get parts, although I do have at least one set of spare parts. But for the price of an electric toilet, I thought I'd go for it, give it a try, see what it's like, and I can always change it back if I don't like it. But the one thing to consider is that's going to be a decent load because it's a motor, so I've got to gauge the wire correctly, and that'll be run along the floor and back up to here. And then the only other electrical thing we have to worry about is the mast, and those wires actually run through this headlining somehow. I haven't actually figured it out. I can only see the plugs at the mast base, so I've got to figure that one out. Also back here you can see wire runs in these corners. They kind of chase through. There's this wire that's come out of here that then goes up there, although the wires behind there just go to there, so I don't know why that came out of there. I'm not liking the previous people that have worked on this boat with whatever modifications they've done. Same on that side, loads of wires coming up there. Seems like a lot more wires than there should be, but we have also got this Raymarine stuff with depth gauges run up, and then this must be like a speed one, but then there's another depth wind something. So all sorts of wires going absolutely everywhere. We also have another bilge pump down there. Now in here, massive mess. The only original thing is that fuse you can see to the right, and then the battery isolation switch. And then there was 2 batteries in there. There's just one left because the other one is basically dead. It's got no voltage at all. So we're going to replace this one as well, but for now it's good just to do testing with. And then we're going to use the lithium battery out of Meraki, plop it in here, and then that should give us heaps of power. Then we're going to be fitting the inverter. Oh, flashing lights again. We're going to be fitting the inverter in here, charge controllers, some of the Raymarine networking, and some of the bits and bobs for that. So that'll be running through here, chased around various ways, whether it goes down, under, and then back up through there, or whether it goes up and over or round, or however it's got to get to wherever it's going to go. But the aim is to keep this nice and tidy because we haven't got much storage on this boat, and this is quite a valuable spot for it. There's not really much in the middle. Up the front there's quite a bit. So that is the battle plan. So I'm going to get started labeling things, testing things, and seeing what I can figure out without trying to zap myself. Right, take a look. It's still a mess, but I've figured some stuff out and we're getting there. The way you got to approach electronics is just patiently label everything and kind of separate it, and you know, all that kind of good stuff. So label maker's been doing some good jobs. We've got the lighting ground. I just figured out that one of those grounds actually runs to this 12-volt socket. But look at this. I don't know if you can see that. What kind of wiring job is that? It's like they've twisted the wires, soldered it, and then covered it with black plastic. It's, yeah, not good. This is why you should always check electrics on boats. Same with that. yeah, that's just a fire hazard waiting to happen. So I'm glad I'm taking all that apart. Now on this side, all these white ones are all power, black ones are all grounds. Some of them I know what they're for. Most of the positives are labelled anyway. Some of them might not do anything anyway, just based on how wires are run, especially up to the mast base. But I've got the power for that, pumping that armour, got the power for this one. This is for the autopilot. Gonna take this out. I'll probably give it away or something because, well, it's probably not worth much. It does do speed. This is a voltmeter down here. I'm keeping that, it works. Nice and simple, it's always good to have a very basic voltmeter. So I think the plan is, this back panel is like not the most strongest, and I'm going to take another one of these panels and screw it in on this side, and this hole was just drilled through and then passed out and went up that way when it could have just gone through. So the plan is to do a hole like this, but over on this side. Now I think the top to bottom here will be a little wide, but we'll cut it out this way, and then this central bit we'll have it for like some sockets or power sockets or USBs or something. This positive stuff's good. There's a bit of conduit there, nice conduit. I think it's only got the power cables in it, like none of these other cables are actually in it. So yeah, there's also meant to be the power from the outboard, so I don't know whether these cables running through this conduit are for the outboard, because I don't actually know where they're coming from, and just by looking, that's kind of what I'm feeling like, because these up here, just making sure they don't touch, well, it's isolated, but these are the power that was running to this board here, and that's a smaller gauge than those fat ones, so I'm assuming those are the power. So I'm going to do some more labelling, but I think I'm going to call it for the night, and I'll be back out in the morning carrying on with this mess. Right, it's the next morning, and yeah, I've just ripped this off. It's quite nice, it's got like a little cover panel. This is just solid fiberglass here, so it's not really balsa core. You can also clearly see the mess that's been left from when someone's been installing stuff and not taking this panel off. It's also really difficult to get off because these bolts that go through here don't actually come out, and they're for the cleat that's on the outside. That one there. I tried unscrewing it, does not come off one bit. I need to get it off to be able to rebed it, because I want to rebed absolutely everything. I've also gone and drawn a little diagram for the boat. So we've got a nav light that's mounted on the bow. Poo for the electric toilet we've got. And then we go to the mast area. You've got the anchor light, the nav light, there's like a steaming / deck light kind of thing. So there's two options there. And I've worked out there's a negative and negative for the mast headlight, which is like a tricolour anchor light combo. And then that deck light is like a deck light and like a steaming kind of light combo, so a negative for each, and then two positives which control each different light. And then we've also got the Raymarine wind transducer, which goes up, it's got its own cable and connector, and then the aerial for the radio, which is knocking around there, that goes out to the mast. That's easy enough, already got that. So that's nothing else needed for the mast. And then the main light works perfectly, we've already got that labelled, working good, just need a new bulb. Then we go on fridge, but that's just needs a 12 volt power. I'll probably have that mounted here because I want to put the fridge in where this step is, because this step is just empty space, useless space. If I can put the fridge there and use the fridge as a step and it doesn't break, then that'll work quite well. And then we'll also have some USBs there and things like that. Also, we've got the radio, that's already got power run, so we have that. The plotter, which would be over there, has these power wires, so I think that's my power for that done. You also have the networking for that. Compass light, got the wire for that. And for the stern light, we have that wired. Tiller pilot, there's power for that, but we also have to add in some wires to network it to the new Raymarine gear. And then solar and outboard, I think the outboard is these chunky little wires here, and they run back, I think, they must cross over somehow to go to there to go back, but I need to trace that and see what's happening. But for the TRIMARAN gear, I've done a separate little diagram. Very simple, crude, I know, but it gets the point across. So start, wind transducer comes down. It's got to go into this converter to convert it to the latest stuff. That's fine. Then short network all the way across to the middle bar, network bar. We've got the depth transducer going in, 12 volt power to power the whole network. And then this is the radio that's plugged in, and this bar is going to be located in here, and that's going to be right next to this, because the wire for the wind transducer can run from the mast over to here. We've got a short hop here to this network, and then this network line will run basically underneath the step up, and then over to this side, and then probably inside here somewhere we're going to have this network bar. That's going to run to the plotter, the extra little display unit, and then also have it run to the tiller pilot. Now this bar is special because it actually converts out, so this tiller pilot can be read and goes to the old C-torque, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do a bit more tidying up on the boat, sorting out wires that I don't need, do need, labelling things a little bit more, removing a lot of these wires and chasing them out to where they're running. And then once that's done, we can start to install the TRIMARAN gear, which will be quite exciting. So I've been debating where to put each individual thing, whether I put the plotter over this hole here. You can see that hole. So if I have the plotter fill that hole there, I'll get rid of these two. It should fit quite nicely, but I've got to remember the depth. The plotter will come out quite far at the back, and that's right by the companionway here and the cooktop. So it won't really make an effect because you can only really stand here, so it's not really going to get in the way of headroom wise. So I'm going to get a bunch more of this electrical stuff done. That should make the whole loom more accessible. You can also read what these things say, so that's also useful, although I already pretty much know what everything is. And I've done a fair bit of figuring out already. That pile of spaghetti is everything that I don't need at all. There's a transducer, the radio, the sat-nav thing, there's a switch here, battery switch, some bits. Loads of random wire for random bits and bobs. Over on this side, I've got, this is the wind wire coming from the mast. I figured out that it runs forward a little bit down that bulkhead, and then running along the back of here, there's actually a wire chase. I don't know if you could see, you can't really see in the back corner there, but behind here, there's a wire chase which coincides with this step that runs along the side of the boat. So that's actually really handy because there's wires running all the way down, and you can access them in the little cubbies that are just in around the corner. And that's how you get wires round to the front. Although for the toilet power, I'm actually going to run it behind there and out because it's closest to the toilet, easiest to get the wires there. And it'll be the shortest run since it's a high draw item. I also added that replacement breaker onto this panel, although I still need to get one more because that one's also broken. But Vision Marine will be able to come through on that. And I also need to get a few plugs for the mast base, for the electrics going up to the mast. All the wires that run to the mast are correct actually, which is surprising. Although I don't really know what that dangling wire there is, because I can't really see where it's going, and it doesn't have any relevance that I can see. Unless it has a ground coming from it, because then it might be one of those ones with the ground. So I think the next thing to do would be cutting some holes up there to mount the panels properly. Those holes are like screwed through, so they don't really bolt on, so I'm gonna have to do something there as well. Apart from that, we can probably get started with installing some of the Raymarine gear, but it might actually be good to do the Raymarine stuff now, because we can actually run the wires in with everything and then do it all up and then fit the switches, because I want to use that ducting there to put all of these cables in to neaten it up a bit, because we aren't quite limited with space back there. I'm half tempted to produce or 3D print a little standoff for these, so they give like a bit of space at the back there for all the wires and cables, so that might be a good thing to do. Right, that's it for this episode. It was a bit of an explainer and a walkthrough of what I've currently got and my plans for it, but in the next episode we're going to do the Raymarine gear and get all of that fitted inside the boat. And then the one after that, I think, will be solar panels and some nice gear from Scanstrut. So I'm all excited for that. So let me know what you think in the comments down below of my boat's electrical setup currently, and what you think of my plans going forward. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.